In this video, we're talking about how to draft slow players. This is the draft guide I came up with to get an Emperor ranking. Hopefully you can use the guide to help you dominate the rank ladder and learn how to play slow like a turtle. Going over the first pick situation first, we have to ask ourselves, are they aggro or cleave? If they are, we're going to be picking up Karina or Destina or Aiden, some combination of that in response to their first pick. So we see Steny Zio, we pick our Karina Aiden, which is not like the best options. And then we see the Ran and the Ludwig. I like playing ML Ken into Ludwig because the provoke is pretty nice against them, even though they do have the Ran. Then I hover over Senya for a while, but opt for Crimson Armin, hoping for some crazy counterattacks. This puts me in a bad spot because have to ban Astromancer Elena. And you'll see this game does not go well for me. I get defense broken. Now, I put this match in even though, spoiler alert, I'm going to lose, because even though you have a guide, sometimes it does not always work out for you. And, I'm not going to hide that fact from you. I think I could have made a lot better decisions here. I think instead of Aiden, I could have gone with a Destina. That could open me up to pick Aiden later. I think Senya probably would have been a better pick than the Crimson Armin, or not the Crimson Armin, the Green Armin who just sat there. And my team just gets totally blown up because I didn't give them enough pressure at the end there. So they easily banned the Aiden and came out with it. So this is definitely a learning lesson, even though we have a strategy we stick to, sometimes it doesn't work. Also, I didn't really have any footage of where it went well against Aggro Cleave because I didn't have a lot of footage for the final day. But we finally get our counter attack there, and it is too little, too late. Oof. Okay, but our second situation is, did they pick a DPS in their first two picks? This person picked two, Abyssal Euphine, and tried to cover it with an Aiden. So in this case, we're going to pick one support and one counter DPS. What options could we go for here? I don't really like the classic Destina pick that I usually do, so we end up going with a Sharoon, and then I felt ML Ken was pretty good here. I really like ML Ken into Euphine, and Aiden is kind of iffy. I think if I had a little bit more time to think, maybe Lethe is good there, but I figured because I have the sleep from Shuna, I can follow up into the ML Ken and just crush this Aiden. That's my plan. I have a kind of pressure from the debuffs on Shuna onto Aiden, and I have a nice counter to Abyssal Euphine and ML Ken. So now my opponent has to figure out what to do. We're trying to provide pressure along with our pick. So we have the guide, but it has a little bit of leeway so that you can find the ways to kind of, chink holes in your opponent's armor as the draft goes on, especially in these early picks, trying to set it up so that they might make a mistake like we did in the first draft, and then we can exploit that. So running out of time, our opponent picks Arrowell and Captain Landy. Now, I'm very, very happy with Captain Landy because ML Ken already counters it. So really, I can kind of double up into that, and Lethe is one of my favorite DPS into both Euphine and Landy, so that's a pretty easy pickup. Then I kind of like something else to go into Aiden, be able to deal with something, but I do opt for Rowana, which go old me. There's a reason my Rowana had a 60% win rate, because there are so many counters on the opposing team and they have to ban it. So we jump straight into the match. Shuna lands a massive attack down on their whole team, which lets me survive until ML Ken starts getting off these massive counterattacks. I actually missed the kill on Lethe earlier. That's why Landy is so low. The mitigation from Arrowell is just too much. So I'm thinking I'll try to target down Arrowell next to deal with the mitigation, but a soul burn coming in from ML Ken, clutch. taking out Euphine, and then the provoke on a Captain Landy, taking out Captain Landy, and there is only one more DPS standing in the way of me and victory. But our opponent decides not to play it out. So our last option is they didn't pick a DPS. So we're first pick, they pick Arrowell and Angel of Light. That means no DPSs. We don't have any sort of pressure we can apply via DPS. So you can just pick Destina to play for the long game. You can just play Destina, and then something that applies pressure on their team. You could pick a DPS, you could pick a support. In this case, I opt for Shuna again. Shuna is pretty popular today in this video, isn't she? This is because they already have debuffs. I wanted another way to cleanse, but the sleep and the attack down is so much pressure. The opponent has to deal with it, and I think they succumb to it with a Celine and Ron pick. Kind of suspect if you ask me, but also kind of a weird pick combo to try to find things that deal with both. I do end up deciding on Pirate Flan and Archdemon Mercedes. I figured I can seal up Celine and Ron. I have enough defense that I can just tank out his initial hits and take him out because he's squishy. So I think the opponent sees that, takes out Crimson Armin, trying to get defense breaks on me, but I have so many cleanses. I'm not sure what the game plan is here for them. They just rip all their debuffs, forcing me to use my revive, but I am quite happy about that. Full team heal, full team cleanse. Ooh boy. And then we're jumping ahead a bit soon, and they are going to target down my Pirate Flan. So I go for a stun on the Ran, who is taking their turn soon. And let's see, down goes Pirate Flan. Ran RNL's out of the stun. Not great for me because Archdemon's S3 is up, and I do not want the immunity sticking around. Kind of foils me a little bit. However, we get a little bit of RNG on our side, counter-attacking the Ran afterwards, going into an extra proc which takes out the Ran on the backswing, which was lucky because it saved us from another RNL proc. We boost up with Destina and rip our skills off anyway, and manage to take the game in just a second. Come on, Chris, you can do it. You can do it. There we go. Just going for the extra turns. Figure we can take off the skill nullifier and just start getting some damage in. Don't really want to touch the Celine here, so I have to give it some thought, because if I do touch the Celine and then she crits, and then it's just bad news bears. And we do have skill cooldowns up on Shuna, so we can, sleep, hopefully. But we do manage to get another RNG chance at the proc, and the Fairy Tail does the deed. Okay, going second. In this case, we have to see what their first pick is, and we have a few options. So against Lua, we always pick Carmen Destina. This is because Carmen's on protection set, Destina's on immunity, and they can't really touch us. So now they're picking their next three, and our options are to pick 2 high pressure DPS. So I wanted to pressure their kind of low tempo team. So I opted for Aiden, who I think can win the late game, and Lethe, who just kind of crushes the slower teams. They get Stenny, Captain Landy, and I just go for the ML Ken. Lethe ML Ken combo into Captain Landy should be pretty good. So we're in Reset Town. Faithless Litica Lua just resetting Lethe to Oblivion. There's no way she's S3. It's not gonna happen this game. But I do have a plan. We go for a big heal just after taking all this big damage. And boom, boom, boom. We did save our S3 on Aiden for a more opportune time. And I kind of see my moment here. I think if Lethe has 2 stacks, if I can get this off, whew, nice crit. But I was hoping they wouldn't counter and Destina would be able to sneak in to boost up Lethe and then take her out. Now the opponent gets to salvo within a soul burn, which I kind of skipped over, but the damage has been done. That lucky crit onto the Captain Landy was able to weaken her enough so I could get the extinction on. I was worried about Aureus on Last Rider Crow, but I didn't have to worry too much apparently. And it would slowly take out their team. Frenzy 7. 5 frenzies later, we finally get the win. So our next one, you see mostly we're doing Carmen Aiden and Carmen Destina, depending on the openers. In this case, we see Lua again, we do Carmen Destina. And this is more of an aggro draft, so you can pull from the ideas of first pick and the second pick. We're definitely going to pick Aiden, but we also like Karina, especially into Strays, because Strays will auto proc Karina. There's really no way around it, and that's going to be a nice boost for us. And I'm feeling pretty good. Rimuru doesn't scare me too much. I mean, I'd like to ban it, but when Zahak comes through, I knew we have to ban Zahak, because I do not want Aiden going down like that. All right. We gotta figure out a 5th pick though. If we ban Zahak, how do we deal with Rimuru? You can see me thinking, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. Maybe Winter will do it, but if they have immunity, it's kind of bad. I opt for my Tech Politis. You can see this in the guide, not my guide, but my account review for this season. I go to ban Zahak. I figure they're going to be banning Politis, and then yeah, I just don't want to deal with it. It's just an RNG chance. I have Politis on Abyssal Crown, so there's a chance she stuns Zahak, but the opponent goes for Carmen. People love to ban my mitigation, and I hate when they do that. It's so annoying. Just beat through my mitigation like a true man. I'm just kidding. But I like my mitigation. It makes me feel happy. So I don't like when people ban it. And this is kind of the deciding moment right there. You just saw the sleep gets resisted on my 200 ER Politis. I miss a kill on Rimuru, which is a bit unfortunate because you see his S3 lends a defense break. But post Politis S3, their whole team is blinded. Aiden is basically invincible. They can't hit her anymore. The humongous damage from Karina coming out, and that pretty much seals the game for me. We're just kind of waiting for the opponent to figure it out. Yeah, you're tickling my Aiden. Zio is going down. Lua's not going to be doing enough. Starraze is blinded too. There's no way that you're touching this Aiden, and the lifesteal is too much. It's too much, and that's a win. So that's 2 ways that Lua can go, and the other ways we have is Abyssal Euphine first pick or a standard first pick from the opponent. This one we saw a standard first pick with Arrow up, so we do Carmen Destina, see what they've got, pick our high tempo DPS, not high tempo but high pressure. Pressure again meaning stuff that like really puts the opponent in an awkward spot, right? We have Lethe great into Abyssal Euphine, maybe not the best with mitigation. It's kind of hard to push through mitigation, so maybe ML Ken there could work as well. They've seen kind of a trend in my drafts through the video, I'm sure. Lethe, ML Ken, Aiden, Carmen Destina, the classics. But Aiden is a pretty obvious pick here into Euphine, and then our opponent ups the tempo with Zahak and Stray. So Zahak is an easy ban for me. Easy ban. And I even considered picking another knight here, so that Strays can't kill anything. But I kind of decided I'll do something else, kind of panic, and I go for a classic ML Ken, baby. Banning Zahak, of course. Banning my mitigation, of course, they know they're not getting through anything. And this is gonna be a game. I feel really good about this. I mean, my mitigation's gone, but I've got 2 counters to Abyssal Euphine, and all I have to do is survive the Stray's onslaught, which should not be too hard, because she'll just take out the Leafy, again, leaving my ML Ken to go, to go to town, as they say. And go to town he will. It's just gonna take a little bit of skills from the opponent. I kept this in because I'm looking for a more opportune time to S3 with Aiden. Maybe after I get an attack buff off of her passive and zoinky yoinking ahead, we're gonna get our opportunity. We go for a big revive. The opponent's team's back on the CR bar. Leafy's coming up. I'm very worried about counterattack, so I don't want to do the S3 combo with Leafy. I can save that for the next turn. And I do have Aiden coming up. We did hold that S3. Got pretty lucky that we didn't die there. It was quite close. So we ripped the S3. We're going to get our invincibility. Now we've got no worries, no fear in the world. Nothing's gonna stop our Leafy from coming back around and smacking this Euphine, right? Big counters, lifesteal coming in clutch on Aiden. Pop, 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 pop. Oh, that's such a satisfactory one. Unfortunately, the attack down is not great, but trying to whittle down my Aiden. Because attack down MO Ken isn't quite good. Oh no, Leafy gets stripped, but I don't think that Kowarik has it in him to get it done. So all we need to do is avoid a counter from Euphine, and we should be pretty good. Nice. The RNG, we got past the RNG check, going for the kill on Euphine. And with the main DPS done, Strays with no cooldowns, that's gonna be the game. And finally, what happens when the opponent first picks Abyssal Euphine? In this case, we had LRK Aiden. I kind of flip-flopped, honestly, between Crimson Armin and Last Rider Crown in that tank slot versus Abyssal Euphine, because the AoE damage is so nice, but I kind of like standardizing things, so I have to think less during the draft. But LRK Aiden was a pretty solid strategy against me. Not against me, but for me against Abyssal Euphine. It used to be LRK Angelica, but I felt Aiden made it a lot more stable. Anyway, back to the draft. They are doing a Conquer Lilius Arrowell, keeping themselves safe and flexible. So we need to pick up another DPS, kind of following the rule 2 high pressure DPS with Leafy. We break the rule here. It's important to note you can break the rules. You don't have to stick to the draft guide fully if you see an opportunity for a very strong pick. In this case, I really don't want attack downs to stick on my Aiden, so I get the Kowarik. I also suspect that ML Landy might come in, and attack down is super good on her. We get Spectre Tenebria and Zahak, and this kind of put me in a tricky spot because I don't want Zahak to go through and kill my Aiden, and I don't want Spectre Tenebria there proccing no counter attacks and kind of whittling through my team. But I kind of figured with the combination of Last Rider Crow's AoE and some untimely AoE counters from Aiden on my part for the opponent, it should kind of work out. So we get into the match, we trade S3s with Conquer Lilius and Mediator Kowarik, and then the annoying timing comes and they stun our Leafy. I wish I could just cleanse everything. I'll just cleanse everything. That's kind of why I like Destina. We'd be able to take off the attack downs from Conquer Lilius and then cleanse the stun later. But it probably wouldn't have mattered that much. Anyway, We're getting our first S3 off of LRK. Does big damage to Spectre Tenebria. Go for the kill on Arrowell. Doesn't quite make it. Later, we get to Lethe. Just try to take out Arrowell if we can, and land a dual attack with LRK, which does the job. So I'm not complaining. And oh my goodness, it's getting a little rough out here. Lethe kind of was useless this game, but all these AoEs let us get back to the last Rider Crow. Thank you for counterattacking Abyssal Euphine. That's going to be another big damage. Spectre Tenebria taken out. All we have to do is survive the Euphine onslaught, which we do for the win.